Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of The Daily. It's Friday, May 27th, here with Greg Lawless. I'm Nick Fershaw. And Greg, let's take a look at some of the biggest storylines in MLS this weekend, starting with the El Capitan, the Houston Dynamo playing host to FC Dallas, 8:30 p.m. Saturday night on Matchday Live. And Greg, this is an FC Dallas team we thought might see some fall off after the loss of David Ferreira. Not so. 7 games unbeaten overall headed into this one.
Yeah, pretty amazing what they've done. I think one of the keys, obviously, is the defense has gotten very, very strong. I also think that Brek Shea has picked up his game, and we saw it out in Portland when they lost that game at the Timbers, that Schellas Hyman moved Brek Shea out of the defense and back into the midfield, and ever since then he has been on fire. He scored the goal midweek for the win, and that was huge for them. Of course, this weekend he's going up against Brad Davis from the Houston Dynamo, who was our guest yesterday, Nick, on Extra Time Radio, which you can get on iTunes right now. And Houston entering this game winless in their last 5. Brad Davis telling us that they really just need to pick it up, especially in the attack. They feel like they're a little bit predictable. They need to start mixing it up.
Well, Greg, let's move up the coast where the Vancouver Whitecaps play host to the New York Red Bulls. This is a New York team, Greg, that is winless in their last 4. We've seen some offensive outbursts from them, a couple goals in the last 2 games. And a Vancouver team coming off short rest. They played in that neutral light Canadian Championship that was weather canceled against Toronto midweek. We'll have to see how that one shakes out. That's at 5:30 p.m. Eastern on Matchday Live.
Yeah, and another team coming into the weekend on short rest, the LA Galaxy, who have to travel all the way across the country to New England to face off against the Revolution team that also played on Wednesday and were shellacked 5-0 at Kansas City. However, the Revolution didn't use all their starters. Steve Nichols saying he wanted to give a couple of guys some rest. The Galaxy, on the other hand, will get David Beckham back. He's coming back from England and supposedly meeting up with the club in New England for that game on Saturday.
One last game we want to take a look at on Saturday night. It's Real Salt Lake putting their 30-game unbeaten streak in MLS play on the line against the Seattle Sounders. Greg, Sounders coming off a short week again. We had a midweek loss. And RSL, 2 straight scoreless draws for them. They haven't been able to find the back of the net. What do you expect out of this one?
Well, since Javier Morales has gone down, they've really struggled to get goals, Nick. Obviously, we haven't seen the creativity in the attack right now and the vision. They're still trying to figure out, I think, Nick, who is going to actually be playing in the midfield and be that creative playmaker. On the other hand, Seattle, it's all about Fredy Montero right now. Ziggy Schmidt coming out, calling out his attacker and saying he needs to play better, he needs to start creating. And I think really that what Schmidt is looking for here, Nick, he needs Fredy Montero to start scoring goals.
Well, for a full list of the games this weekend, you can log on to MLSsoccer.com. A lot of great games in a lot of different cities. And we also wanted to mention before we go, Freddie Adu knocked out of the Turkish Second Division playoffs with Rizespor.
Yeah, Rizespor tied 3-3 in the second leg. It was 4-0 in the first leg, though, so it was all over after that. Some other news about players abroad. Clint Dempsey making it back into the Europa League because Fulham have been named for the Fair Play Award, since the fewest yellow cards, I guess, in Europe. So they're going to be going to the Europa League again. So maybe he can have some of that magic that we saw a couple years ago, what he did against Juventus with that beautiful goal, and they went to the final. And
if you haven't checked it out yet, check out the latest edition of the Extra Time Radio podcast. Greg, you mentioned it before. Brad Davis and Ray Hudson, the return of Ray Hudson. We had him on the show. You can find that on Buzzsprout and iTunes. And for all the latest headlines in MLS, log on to MLSsoccer.com.